Reassessing truth claims in contemporary media ecosystems. 1. Executive Summary. This report analyzes recurrent themes in a public dialogue concerning epistemic stability, media trust, conspiracy proliferation, and civic discourse. It distills claims into discrete issues: over deconstruction of narratives, incentive structures in legacy and alternative media, social cognitive drivers of pattern seeking, generational and technological divides, and practical protocols for evidence evaluation and debate. The objective is to identify actionable standards that preserve skepticism without collapsing into nihilism. Footnote. This section frames the inquiry as an exercise in standard setting rather than adjudication of specific controversies. 2. Scope and method. 1. The source material is a recorded discussion between an interviewer and a former newspaper columnist. Names are omitted consistent with the constraint against non-canonical personal references. 2. The analysis abstracts exemplars, e.g., disputes over authorship in popular music, rapid conspiratorial claims following major incidents, to derive generalizable principles. 3. The report uses third-person narration, avoids small talk, and limits each subsection to under 2,000 characters. Footnote. The section specifies the evidentiary posture and constraints governing this synthesis. 3. Problem statement: from skepticism to dissolution. Participants described a drift within dissenting communities from targeted fact-checking to a deconstruction of everything, where asserting that nothing is real becomes a status move. This dynamic threatens shared reference points and induces demoralization, because if every artifact can be debunked by insinuation alone, deliberation loses object permanence and citizens lose grounds for coordination. Footnote. The risk identified is epistemic anomie, skepticism untethered from standards of proof leading to civic paralysis. 4. Media incentives and the trust collapse. 1. Legacy outlets previously combined reporting with adversarial accountability. After early 2020, participants alleged a reorientation toward narrative enforcement. 2. Alternative media often mirror monism in the opposite direction, producing siloed counter-narratives with limited cross-examination. 3. The absence of venues that host structured, good-faith contestation across views impedes public learning. Footnote. Media polarization is framed as a two-sided failure of pluralistic verification. 5. Illustrative controversies and standards of evidence. 1. Cultural authorship disputes and immediate event-as-staged assertions exemplify claims advanced faster than evidence can mature. 2. The report recommends provisional openness to hypotheses while requiring 1. Falsifiable predictions, 2. Source provenance, 3. Timeline coherence, 4. Base rate awareness, and 5. Steel manning of opposing accounts. 3. Absent these, audiences should label claims unresolved rather than exposed. Footnote. The section substitutes an adjudicative checklist for premature certainty or reflexive dismissal. 6. Social cognitive drivers of overreach. 1. Competitive signaling online rewards novelty and extremity, first to see through. 2. Pattern completion under uncertainty elicits false positives, including apophenia and ordinary images and gestures. 3. Moral injury and status loss can convert justified skepticism into global cynicism. Footnote. Incentive gradients and cognitive heuristics explain why communities overshoot evidentiary bounds. 7. Narrative engineering and memory effects. 1. Repetition and placement, tell them again, determine retention, burying inconvenient facts minimizes salience. 2. Fatigue-inducing broadcasts can degrade working memory, weakening citizens' capacity to integrate counter-evidence. 3. The cumulative effect is path dependence, initial frames persist even when contrary facts emerge later. Footnote. This section links editorial choices and cognitive load to durable public beliefs. 8. Generational and technological frictions. 1. A digital divide impedes older cohorts from accessing non-legacy sources, constraining heterodox discovery. 2. Observations in institutional settings suggested reduced social regard for the elderly, intensifying isolation and diminishing civic voice. 3. Design choices, e.g., app-only services, inadvertently disenfranchise analog native populations. Footnote. This section highlights how interface regimes and social norms filter who participates in discourse. 9. Movement dynamics, infighting and orthodoxy. 1. Dissenting networks exhibit intra-group purity contests, where minor disagreements trigger accusations of bad faith. 2. Accusatory reflexes deter cross-view dialogue and reduce external persuasion. 3. A corrective is to normalize open question status and invite structured rebuttals rather than identity inferences. Footnote. Internal norm setting is identified as a precondition for credible external communication. 10. Interview norms and public learning. 1. The legacy naive interrogator model, plain questions, layered recap, efficiently onboards newcomers. 2. Contemporary long-form often presumes prior knowledge, limiting accessibility. 3. Recommended practice, alternate expert exchanges with first principles sessions that restate claims, evidence, counter-evidence, and remaining unknowns. Footnote. This section proposes format diversity to widen epistemic inclusion. 11. Guardrails against nihilism, a practical epistemic protocol. 1. Calibrate credences numerically and update with new evidence. 2. Separate claims about facts from claims about motives. 3. Prefer documented timelines over montage inference. 4. Triangulate across at least 3 independent sources. 5. Protect psychological hygiene, limit doom scrolling, schedule nature and community, and sustain measured hope without conflating it with certainty. Footnote. The section operationalizes skepticism as a discipline rather than a mood. 12. Democratic implications and pathways. 1. Without minimally shared facts, elections, policy, and accountability degrade to spectacle. 2. Remedies include, 1. Platform-agnostic debates with symmetric moderation, 2. Transparent sourcing standards, 3. Civic media literacy curricula emphasizing burden of proof norms, and 4. Accessible channels for analog native citizens. 3. The aim is resilience, skepticism that tests claims while preserving the possibility of truth. Footnote. The section links epistemic repair to institutional legitimacy and civic capacity. 13. Conclusion. The dialogue under review captures a pivotal tension. Citizens must interrogate narratives without erasing reality. The recommended equilibrium is principled agnosticism, open to revision, anchored in method. Communities that institutionalize these norms can resist manipulation, reduce demoralization, and recover the conditions for reasoned self-government. Footnote. The report closes by privileging method over ideology as the stabilizing center of public reason.